Hey everybody! And a warm welcome to a new story. Today's story is called Friend and I Take What Was Supposed to Be a Concert of a Lifetime, I End Up Ditching Him and His Friend in Another City. From the Prorevenge subreddit. I hope you like it and will enjoy the time. If you like my content and this kind of videos, please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. As always, this story is told from the OP's point of view. Enjoy it. This happened when I was just out of high school. When I was in grade 9 and 10, my best friend and I hung out together constantly. We had known each other through sports when we were younger, but it wasn't until high school we really started hanging out. I have to say this story has 3 people. Me equals me. BF is my best friend. And A is his asshole buddy who never liked me for whatever reasons. Anyways, at the time I was into punk rock and he was into folk, hippie music. His favorite was Neil Young. I would laugh and poke fun at him for his shit music, and I admit I never knew who he was or his music. One day I was helping BF clean his room. His mom said he couldn't go out until it was done, so I helped and I came across a Neil Young tape. I remember it had 2 albums. After the Gold Rush and Harvest. Again I poke fun about his taste in music and he said to me, you know, you shouldn't make fun of his music if you've never listened to it. For whatever reason it dawned on me that he was right. So I told him, you know what? You're right. I'll take this home, listen to it, then I'll poke fun at ya tomorrow. Fair enough. So I go home and listen to the first song on After the Gold Rush. The song was Tell Me Why. I couldn't believe how much I loved it. The style, the acoustic guitars, the harmonizing. I ended up listening to it 3 times in my parents' kitchen and then I listened to the whole album. I was blown away and the next day I told him sorry, I was wrong, and Neil Young is now one of my favorites. He actually was the one that got me out of punk music and into the 60s, 70s hippie sort of music. So we hang out constantly for a couple years and things are great. One day we're hanging out listening to Neil, getting some puffs in on a reefer, when we both agreed that we want to see Neil Young play Live on Day. We made a pact that if we ever stopped being friends, if life ever got in the way of our friendship and we drifted apart, that we would still, no matter what, go see Neil together. Sounded like a great plan. So a couple years go by and of course we had drifted apart. We both had new friends and hardly ever spoke anymore. One day I get a call from him out of the blue. He says, Neil Young is going to Calgary for a show. Are we going? I was super excited and, I guess in a sentimental nostalgic way, felt nothing but good love for my old friend. We hung out again and we were both so stoked that our old promise came to fruition. Supposed to be show of a lifetime, right? Of course not. Now I have to tell you, during the 2 years we had drifted apart, he started hanging with the one I call hole. He and I never got along and that's that. I didn't know why he liked the guy so much since he was always a total prick to almost everyone, and he never had any money. Always bumming smokes, weed, food, all the time. So the day of our road trip comes up, and I'm super happy. I drive to my BF's place to pick him up and all is well. Once he gets in my car he says, hey man, we gotta stop by AH's place so I can drop off a sweater. I thought that was weird since it wasn't cold out and hardly a desperate need for a sweater on a nice weekend. But he did have a thick sweater in his hand, so whatever. This wants his sweater. This is where things go downhill. We pull up to AH's place and there's the piece of shit standing on his stoop with an overnight bag. I turn to BF and say, what the motherfucking fuck, dude? Why the fuck does have a bag? BF proceeds to tell me that he invited along and he admitted he lied to me because he knew no way in hell I would drive to go get him. I told BF I thought this was our thing, Neil Young. As promised years ago. He felt bad I guess, but nowhere near as bad as I think he should have felt. Anyways, the drive to Calgary was them having a great time with me driving the whole 7.5 hours. Of course had no smokes, no weed, nothing but enough money he was hoping would be enough for a cheap nosebleed section ticked. At least he wouldn't be sitting with us though. Didn't even offer up a cent for the hotel either. We go to the concert, have an awesome amazing time, and I was hoping things would be looking up. After the concert I decided to go out with a couple friends I hadn't seen in a couple years. They lived in that city obviously. We went out without BF and had a drunken awesome time. It was the first time I tried ecstasy and I have to say I was wrecked. The part that makes me look like an asshole is the fact I was driving. I ended up parking in downtown Calgary and walking a long way to find my hotel. I eventually found it and went up to the room and ended up passing out underneath the sink by the bathroom around 3 a.m. I somehow managed to wake up an hour before checkout and man I felt like total shit. So much hungover and not feeling all that hot haha. Those were the days. So I pack up my heavy bag and my guitar. I used to play in a band with BF in high school, so I thought it would be nice to sing our old songs on the trip. Never did because of awe. I leave the room carrying what felt like 1,000 pounds of shit to the lobby only to see my BF and sitting there happily eating breakfast. I talked to them for a minute to tell them I had to go find my car as it was somewhere in downtown Calgary. They smile and say sure, they'll be waiting for me in the restaurant. I go lugging my heavy shit and it took me well over an hour of walking all over downtown looking for this stupid car. I almost screamed when I turned a corner and finally found the car. My arms are killing me, the hangover is killing me, and all I can think of is getting into the car for the terrible drive home. The sooner I get into the car, the sooner I can get home. I put my shit down and go into my coat pocket. No keys. I'm frantic as I look in every pocket I have. No keys. I was pissed. I somehow knew my BF had something to do with this. To make things worse, while looking for my car I ended up going in all directions, so I was confused as to where my hotel was now. It took me about half hour to find it, all while still carrying my heavy shit. I finally find the hotel and angrily go into the restaurant and I see BF and smiling at me like I was the butt of some joke. I marched up to them with fire in my eyes and their deaths on my mind. I looked at BF and said slowly with lots of anger, "Give me my keys now." He laughs and hands them to me. I ask why the fuck he would take my keys from my coat as I was passed out. His reason was moronic. He told me, "I knew you were pissed came along with us so I took your keys so I would know I have them and you couldn't take off home and leave us in another city." I asked why the fuck he would let me go look for my car without my keys when he knew full fucking well I didn't know exactly where my car was and I was going to have to do a major search in a huge downtown area. I don't recall his answer, but it was likely a stupid smile, like he had pranked me or something. I looked at both BF and said without a lick of heat, "I'm leaving this fucking place right this fucking second and I'm not coming back. If you and aren't right behind me to get the car, I'm leaving to drive the 7.5 hour drive home alone." They literally laughed at me like I was a joke to them, as if they were so important I would never go through with what I said. Their laughs faded away as I again walked to get my car. Of course I didn't go back and I got to my car, went to the local gas station for directions to the highway home. This was long before Google Maps and internet and happily went on my way. I heard later from BF, he didn't cut me off completely after that, surprisingly, and he told me how once I left he and both were like, "He's joking, hey. What do you think? Nah, he's never ditch us here, no fucking way." They waited and waited and they finally realized the worst. I kept my word and fucked off back home without them. BF told me they tried to hitchhike home but no one would pick them up. Then he told me it started to rain super bad. I knew because it rained a lot on my comfortable drive home. BF said he eventually had to beg someone back home to send him money so they could rent a car, haha. That's basically the end of it. I had told BF that I felt he ruined our trip by bringing along someone he knew didn't like me. So I don't see how he would have thought I was joking about leaving them, especially after he stole my keys and laughed after he knew I'd be fucked once I found my car. He also knew how sick and hungover I was. It's funny because I was reminded of this story when I saw BF at the local Safeway store today. He never held a grudge against me, nice to say. However, for the next 20 years would see me and yell Calgary as a hello and a goodbye. I see him around once a year, and last time at the bar he was a bit drunk and all his anger came out again. All that became of that was me telling the people at the bar what he was so pissed about and us all, minus having a good laugh. This is my first Prorevenge post, so thanks for reading. What do you think about this story? Tell me your thought in the comments. If you like the story and the content, please leave a like, subscribe and share this video. Also have a look into my playlist for more entertaining stories.